Yes, I'm the president and CEO of TIEC, and I'm extremely happy to see all of you here today. Virtual exchange is sort of a passion project of mine. I've long been an advocate of it, so I'm really thrilled that as our organization we could actually make this investment in Virtual Exchange Academy. So just quickly, TIEC is a nonprofit based in Austin, Texas. We do international education programs. We are a network of 38 universities. I think we just grew by yet another one in Texas, although they haven't quite paid yet, but University of Houston just joined. So that brings us to 39 and 35 within Texas. We currently have 4 affiliate universities around the world, and you're seeing Dr. Yusuf Suleiman from Prince Mohammed bin Fahd University, which was our very first affiliate university, and we're very proud of that relationship. So in the briefest of terms, we act as a nimble nonprofit partner to our members and provide professional development programs, networking opportunities. We do project management for grant-funded projects and other kinds and contracts, and we share funding opportunities in the international education space. So I came to this organization in 2017 and brought with me many years in U.S. government and working on overseeing the J-1 visa exchange visitor program. So I kind of have brought us into more U.S. government funded programs, which is really lovely. So our motto is taking Texas ingenuity and doing good in the world. And we really do that through very strong partnerships, which is why we have an affiliate membership option now, because we really want to build the partnership model within our organization. So on virtual exchange, so I have actually been in love with virtual exchange since 2009. And I first learned about how technology-infused global classrooms could raise the number of students with an international experience and exposure, and thus help schools and universities reach their cultural competency goals at a very low cost. So at the time, I was actually in a job where I was overseeing the US government's spending. I was working in the United States Senate, and I oversaw myself the programs that the State Department and USAID and others were doing in the international education space. And we kept saying, why are these programs so expensive? And then we learned, and especially since there's so few people actually taking advantage of our people-to-people physical exchanges. And then when you look at the data of how many students actually go on a study abroad, the number is very low. And so when you think about virtual exchange, it seems to me as an ingenious way to expand internationalization. And there are several models, right? It can be a fully moderated classroom in the way Celia, for example, does. It can just be 2 faculty working together on a short or long connected classroom through the COIL method that many of you know about. It can also just be students connecting virtually over a single weekend and doing a design challenge. There's so many ways of doing virtual exchange. And really what we're trying to get at here is some kind of cultural international exposure for our students. The best way to open minds about the world is to be exposed to other people's perspectives, and you all know that better than I do. So I've really enjoyed seeing virtual exchange grow in popularity, especially during COVID. Now, COVID has clearly shown a hunger for this teaching tool, but we're not approaching this as if it will end when COVID kind of everyone's vaccinated or we have herd immunity and we're not worried about COVID anymore. I want to just be clear to all of us today that we see virtual exchange as a very effective teaching tool. It internationalizes curriculum, it prepares students for a global career, and it opens young minds to the perspectives of others. And a really great thing that happened last year is it really helped faculty. Faculty have been having to learn technology, and it really helps faculty continue to kind of get better with technology, stay on top of what options there are out there. And it can lead to meaningful partnerships between institutions and colleges, really. Starting with a virtual exchange, it can really grow that kind of cooperation. So we just want to walk into today's program with this common understanding between us that we're talking about a teaching tool and a cost-effective way to show students another view of the world. All right, so let's get into kind of the more about what is virtual exchange. Okay, so you can read that while I'm talking. You see on the screen a few different definitions of virtual exchange, and I'm going to actually put in the chat here a couple of of a couple of links real quick. Because, you know, I am a lawyer, I always say, and definitions really matter. So we have to establish those early on. So I don't want to be talking about virtual exchange and understand later that you had a different vision in your mind than I did. So each of these are variations of each other, these definitions, and what they all have in common is emphasis on technology, intercultural learning, and communication. So not a single one of those definitions mentions study abroad or couches virtual exchange as a replacement for it. So it's really clear that we know what it is not, and we do not see virtual exchange as a replacement for study abroad. We are all huge proponents of study abroad and believe very much in the power of that. But if virtual exchange is anything, it's flexible. It's no one size fits all, and you can design what you want according to what you want and get out of it what you want. And that's how we approach our Virtual Exchange Academy. It can be short-term as part of a larger course. It can be non-academic, like a cultural club, and Audrey can talk about her experience with that. It can be a full semester-long joint course. It can be the period of preparation for an in-person program. It could be the follow-on, how we keep our students engaged with one another after doing an intense experiential kind of opportunity or program. So there's lots of ways you can think about virtual exchange. But the idea is that you need to determine your goals for virtual exchange before you embark upon it, and then create your programs to hit those goals, right? So you really have to think to yourself, what do I need to get out? Why am I going through the trouble of doing this virtual exchange? What is important to get out of it? And then you design your modules around what you're trying to get out of it. So is your goal for your students to learn empathy? If so, you might want to focus on oral sharing, a program that has oral sharing between students. Do you want your students to learn new ways of doing things, of studying, of researching, of writing reports, collecting data? If so, then you might seek a program that's focused on team teaching and design challenges or joint research. Do you want students to learn to manage the challenges of teamwork with people scattered around the globe like they might face in their future career? If so, then small team research projects might be how you design your program. So you really do want to start by learning about successful models that have worked for others, and that is something that we will go through in the Virtual Exchange Academy. So right now, I wanted to kind of spend a minute and find out from all of you why you are interested in virtual exchange. And maybe we can take the slide down for just a second and see each other's faces. So, and Anna, let's see, Anna, you're still pinned on what I see. So what do folks think? Are you, what's your reason for doing virtual exchange? And I'd love you to be able to just come off mute and talk to me about what you want to get out of virtual exchange.
For me, here at Prairie View A&M, as the person who oversees our international programs, I share your enthusiasm about remote learning. And I think that while the pandemic has been such a disaster, one of the silver lining is just the fact that we've become accustomed and we've learned some of the ways of learning long distance. And I think that is something that is here to stay, because there are always students who will not go abroad, even if you had the funding. There are many reasons why they won't go there, and I'm seeing this now as a way to extend the ability for our students to have global competence without leaving the United States. And so I'm hoping to see what I can glean from here and work with faculty to get this opportunity to our students.
Thank you so much. Anyone else want to share?
Can I just mention something here, please? Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, we at Prince Muhammad University, about a year or 2 years ago, we had in our strategic plan to create what we call globally connected classrooms, so that our students can attend lectures with students in other universities around the globe, in America or everywhere. And now that I hear from you this about the virtual academy of virtual, it's I think a better and a broader concept, so that we can actually achieve what we want, not only through globally connected classrooms, but by having our students involved in many activities with other students around the globe using this virtual academy concept. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and that's a really good point. There are many ways of referring to virtual exchange: globally connected classrooms, technology-infused exchange. There's lots of ways. COIL. Some people just sort of like default to COIL. So, yeah, globally connected classrooms, and that's obviously the wave of the future, and we need to have those partnerships to be able to do that. So, our academy is a great way. TIEC is a great way of building partnerships with Texas, but I mean, just around the world, you have to have those partners and then understand how to do it. So really important to have the training. Thank you, Dr. Youssef. Anybody else want to share their goals?
Hi, my name is Miriam from Kenya. It is an evening here.
Hello,
So
we
I'll
can
say
hear you.
good evening, everyone. And I'm glad that I'm here. I had nursing programs at the University of Nairobi. And many times we've been looking for exchange programs. It's there. And also to have students come to us have not been easy, but this will give us an opportunity to have our students and even faculty exchange ideas and look at intercultural exchange programs. And I think this is a great idea. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to having many programs doing together with yourselves. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. I love your comment about faculty. So important. This is equally for faculty. Agreed. I agree with you completely. Anybody else? One more?
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm a faculty and at Northern Kentucky University. I'm teaching chemistry, and I'm also a director of a STEM international exchange program. So we do mostly research over the summer. Our exchange is mostly research over the summer. But of course, COVID stopped all this. The other thing I can see for my program, how it would help, is that some students, no matter how much they want to go abroad, they're not going to be able to go abroad. That we have some, we have an engineering technology program. We have a lot of students that are older, they have a family, they have a job. They cannot go abroad for 2 months to do research in another lab. So for me, it's a way for me to have them participate in my program and still do things virtually. They do understand the importance for them to communicate with other countries, because specifically those older students that are working, they work in companies that sometimes, while they have to communicate with Germany or China or Japan, and they're like, well, I was called in a meeting and there was like all those people from all those different parts of the world on the screen, and I still had to explain to them the results of what we did. And so they realize that it's important for them to acquire that, and they are asking me how they could do that while still not quitting their job, not leaving their family here in the US. So that's, for me, that's why I'm interested in those virtual exchanges, to provide those students that cannot go abroad, not that they don't want to, they are really interested in opening their mind to the world, but they really have, constraints here that keep them from going abroad. So I want to offer them this opportunity.
That's wonderful. And I think you all have really touched on several different things, right? So, but preparing students for the actual workforce they will face when they enter their jobs, then they go into their career, is really important. And also what you said about chemistry is really important too. I mean, we did a training program. What kind of kicked off our methodology was this training program that we did, funded by the Stevens Initiative. and which is a public-private partnership through the State Department and the Aspen Institute. And we chose nursing, and Audrey is our wonderful alumni and now instructor in our academy from that program, because what we really understood was that those students have such a prescribed curriculum, and they don't have much room at all to move, to add things into their curriculum. And so you really have to make it a part of their everyday, otherwise they're not going to be able to do it. And then we've lost them, and that's such a shame, especially in something like nursing. And I would say the same with chemistry. I mean, who is going to solve these problems finding, we're all part of like the next innovation in the world. So I love that. That's great. Well, we can go back to the slides now, Stephen, if you don't mind. The last thing I want to talk about is we've talked about what you all feel like is your goal. Some of you, like, so Dr. Youssef, who is an administrator at PMU, and so in UT Tyler also has, I'm sorry, I'm missing your name now, but is all, from the international office, from the international offices, and from our president's office and our chancellors and our provosts and things, we see an institutional goal for this, right? It's in our strategic plan for internationalization. How are we going to internationalize or globalize our curriculum? As faculty, Isabel and others are saying, I see this for my students. So there is a value proposition for all of us in virtual exchange and it's really important to understand what that value proposition is as you're pitching it for your institution and also doing it yourself. So Stephen's going to put these up here, but you can just see the number of things that virtual exchange brings. So we do need to think about the goals of our college and our institution as a whole. And the fact that you all are here I just commend the fact that you and your administration have already decided that virtual exchange is something that we want to invest in. So I think that including virtual exchange, as Dr. Youssef said, that they did in their strategic goals, I'm sure many of you have done the same. I really do encourage that because it is something we can measure. We really can measure at the college level how many faculty are doing virtual exchanges and how many students are taking part in it, and you could do some baseline research and you could sort of see what the impacts are. And what's really exciting about where we are today in virtual exchange is that there really is some comprehensive research. And I think, Juliana, if you don't mind putting in the chat the link to our bibliography that we did. But even beyond our bibliography, there's a lot of research coming out now. The Stevens Initiative that I mentioned before, they're kind of like, I hope some of you have heard of them. They really focus on virtual exchange between the US and the MENA region, but they are doing research for kind of the whole field writ large. And they are a place to collect, they are kind of like a gatekeeper of information and research and good models. So it's a great, it's a great website to look at for learning more about virtual exchange. And we can throw that into the chat too at some point in this conversation. So the value proposition is really, really important. So all of this is just to say why we decided to invest in this academy. TIEC believes in collaboration, and that there are things that we can do collectively, cheaper, more easily, with fewer resources than everybody doing it on their own. And so when COVID hit, it was time to sort of create a resource that all of our members and non-members could actually take part in, that we have developed it. We have funded the upfront cost of developing an academy. There is a per head cost, but the idea was that each of your institutions would then have to go about the business of contracting with somebody or creating a program for yourselves. And for some that works, but for those that you're not yet sure how many faculty are, it's got to build upon itself in some institutions. So that's why we built this academy, and we will be running a few trainings annually, and we are sort of kind of coming up. We like to do them over the summer. We're starting to put the dates in for the whole year, and we do have one coming up in November. So with that, I am going to jump into like the actual academy. So I'm going to turn it over to Stephen and Audrey, and I'm going to be quiet, but please do take advantage of the chat, ask any questions, and we'll be monitoring that. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Robin. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and start talking a little bit about the Virtual Exchange Academy and what it is and what it's about. And so The purpose of the Virtual Exchange Academy is to equip faculty with the skills they need in order to successfully run virtual exchange in their classrooms. The Academy itself is focused on the faculty. Participants will be given a group and one-to-one guidance throughout the Academy. While designing a virtual exchange upfront at the beginning might sound really daunting, the Academy is designed to build as the modules progress. So as you go through this Academy, each module builds off of each other. At the end, you come up with a finished product. So by the end, all the faculty should be pretty confident in the VE programs that they themselves designed. So it's already something that's close to them and that they have a connection with in a way. So that's really exciting. The Academy is also focused on the students. We talk a lot about how to make the virtual exchange student-centered. We're focused on competency connections such as cultural intelligence and international skills, international communication, intercultural communication is what I meant to say there. And so there's the Academy itself has several components to it. So we start with learning the fundamentals of virtual exchange and different methodologies when it comes to virtual exchange, with a focus on the COIL method, which you've probably heard much about. We incorporate learning outcomes. We have coaching sessions. So throughout the Academy, we have extra time put aside for the faculty to connect with the instructor, whether it's me or Audrey or someone else, and get one-on-one support about the exchange that they're building. One of the other benefits and components of this is that as a group of faculty pairs designing their exchange, we are almost building a community of practice in virtual exchange. You get to meet other colleagues that are doing this similar, designing similar exchanges, even if they're within different departments. It's a good opportunity to learn a lot from each other as well. I would say number two here is one of the biggest benefits of the Virtual Exchange Academy is that at the end of the day, all the faculty pairs go away with a program that they've designed that is very close, if not ready, very close to being ready to implement into their classrooms. So it's not something where at the end of the Academy, you have so much more work to do, but by the time we get to the end, you have something on paper, well, maybe not on physical paper, but you have something ready to go. Of course, we also do a lot of things and we investigate what technology tools and options are useful for virtual exchange. We focus on evaluating the virtual exchange and not just evaluate how to evaluate your students, but also to evaluate the exchange itself. Hopefully through the end of this, you can become a champion in virtual exchange at your own institutions and hopefully spread this knowledge and increase virtual exchange. So Audrey's going to talk a little bit about some of the specific components of the exchange, of the Academy.
Yes. Yeah. So here is a list of our modules, and they can be taught over either a series of a couple of weeks, or I think this next time we're going to extend it out. So we'll be meeting a couple of times a week over a longer period of time. But as Stephen said, all of the modules build on top of each other. So we'll talk about why we're doing virtual exchange. And then by the end, as Stephen said, we will have, or you will have, a finished product that hopefully you'll be able to implement fairly quickly. But the main goal of this academy is to make the faculty feel inspired and confident that you can actually do this with your students. We will share an extensive library of resources. I think that's the main thing that kept coming across when we did this program in August, is everybody was like, I can't believe the information that you're sharing with us. Like, there's just so much research, there's a lot of literature on this. And that was one of the main things that came through. And the way that we run the program is you'll be a student, and there's daily assignments, and then we give written feedback. So this past time we had a discussion board for you guys, the faculty, and we did a lot of work on there. It was a great way for the faculty to get to know each other. And a lot of that is done pre-meeting so that you'll do your work and then we get together and have these wonderful discussions, and the faculty really get to connect and learn different ideas from other departments. Over the I guess over this fall, the agriculture department was taking part, and I was just amazed at the ideas and what can transpire with different areas of education. Let's see. And then you'll be given some time to work on your product. You'll be really will help you develop this so that it's meeting your program learning outcomes, it's meeting your university learning outcomes. So we'll help you ensure that everything fits into your curriculum. We also have coaching sessions. So there's one-on-one time. So either Stephen or myself or another person will schedule time that we can meet with you and help you develop a syllabus, answer any questions, talk about cultural intelligence and how to get that into your program. So that's a lot of fun. Let's see. I don't want to give away too much of the actual modules, but we will help you. Well, I won't say too much more on that, but we will help you develop a plan that you can implement soon after. This past summer, some of the faculty that did the program finished the program the end of August, and we're starting their programs in September. So many of them will be ready to go once the virtual academy is over. And Stephen, if you can go to the next slide. And these are some testimonials that were from this past academy over the summer. And you can take a look at these, but I also wanted to share a little bit about what I did as my own virtual exchange. And as was mentioned, Robin mentioned, I was part of the Stevens Initiative workshop over, well, I guess it's been over a year now. It was last summer, not this past one, but the one prior. And I had so much fun. I just really want to say that that program truly gave me back my enthusiasm for teaching, because, you know, we get so caught up in the daily, like the grading and the kind of the scut work of teaching. And after 15 years, like I was ready for something new. So this program truly gave me back my joy of teaching. And what we did is my first virtual exchange program took place last fall. And we did a very loose virtual exchange. And I worked with Manufia University in Egypt. And what we did is the students met each week and we learned about mindfulness techniques. They were nursing students, I had nursing students. So they had the opportunity to learn some self-care skills. And then we broke out into small groups and the students had a chance to just talk with each other. And it was so nice. It was very casual. We ended up having over 400 students joining these sessions. So we had to break out our Zoom sessions into 2 sessions because our platform didn't support 400 students. So we were really amazed at the number of students that wanted to join this virtual exchange. We were not prepared for that many students. It was just wonderful. And then the students would continue to text each other. And during the week, we would have like a little prompts, like we would share pictures of our hometowns. They shared music. We created playlists. we just really had a good time, and it was very casual, like just getting together, they were learning skills, but it was not part of our syllabus. Like it wasn't part of our necessarily learning outcomes for the course. And then the one that we did in the spring, we worked with Helwan University. And that session, we incorporated the two groups. They were research students, nursing students from, as I said, Helwan University. And then I was also teaching a nursing research course. So we shared our syllabi and then created a new syllabus that had joint learning outcomes. So we found learning outcomes that overlapped. And then we each taught that information to the students. We had 2 synchronous lectures that her name was Manar. Manar taught one and I taught the other. So we had a chance to teach each other's students, which was amazing. And then we also had synchronous sessions where the students were able to work with each other, because the outcome of our session was that we had a final project. So the students collaborated on a research question, they created their own PICO question, and then they answered it. And it was amazing to see this collaboration. And then the students they presented the answers to their research questions. And they also compared and contrasted the care that the patients get from each country. So that was just really amazing to see them collaborate. And towards the end of our session, we had the University of Jordan joined us. So then we brought in some more kind of loose sessions where they joined us, and we were still doing some of the mindfulness activities. So we had Jordan, Egypt, and Texas all working together on mindfulness activities. And it was so much fun. The students have remained in touch, and there's several of them that are working on a research project, and they're hoping to publish a paper together. So there's so much that can be done, and the students really just enjoyed it. I also, on a faculty level, we created a research project out of this. So I have a publication that's going to be submitted hopefully by the end of this month for our fall activities. And then we're working on another research publication. We're just actually getting that data finalized. Manar is doing the stats on it right now as we speak. And that one also will be published. I have done, I don't know how, probably 10 presentations this past year on virtual exchange through different nursing organizations. Through my university had a research symposium that they invited me to come and talk about the research that we did. So there's lots of opportunities, not only to have fun in the class with the students, but professionally, we were able to write some papers and hopefully get some publications out of it as well. Let's see, do you guys have any questions about how I did my exchanges? No, okay. So Stephen, if you could go to the next slide.
Yeah, Audrey, I can take it from here.
Okay.
On this slide. Thank you so much. I was definitely I like hearing about your virtual exchanges. It's always fun to listen to it, even though I've probably heard it 100 times now. It's still exciting to hear about it. I think there were some good points that went into the chat. I think Robin mentioned that one of the benefits and one of the big things about our Virtual Exchange Academy is that we will definitely work with each partner to come up with an exchange that works for your classrooms. We don't mandate an exchange has to look like this, or an exchange has to be this way or that way. But each classroom, each department, each subject matter might have a different way of best implementing virtual exchange. And one of the things about the Academy and with coaching is to make sure that the design of the exchange that you come up with really fits your classrooms, you and your partner's classrooms. So that's one of the big benefits. And you know, we really hope through the Academy that you take home something that you can use. I think this link was posted a little bit earlier, but there's more information about the Virtual Exchange Academy on our website at TIEC.org/TIEC Virtual Exchange Academy. I'm going to put this right here in the chat again. I think it was there a second ago, but might as well put it in here again. And on there, you'll find a brochure that gives more information about the Virtual Exchange Academy, as well as the annotated bibliography that was mentioned earlier, which has a lot of background research on virtual exchange and kind of some supporting information to really give that kind of, this is why virtual exchange is important. This is why it's worth doing. So when you have some time, go on there and check that out. As Audrey mentioned, we ran a virtual exchange pass in the summer, and we had several groups come up with some really interesting exchanges. And we're excited to run our next virtual exchange starting on October 26th. So almost November. And this exchange is slated to run twice a week for 4 weeks. And we're really excited to run it again. And hopefully we'll see some of you guys there or some others that are interested in it.
So I can jump in. Anna, maybe we can, or Stephen, maybe we can just go down to the gallery and come off the slideshow so we can see each other. Yeah, and Anna, if you don't mind not pinning anybody anymore, that would be great, so we can just see each other's faces the same size. We did say the training would be in November, so so yeah, we're starting in October. So what we're going to do this time, so in the summertime, we make sure that we watch, we do it kind of like we do every day. We do a very intensive training. So it was 4 days a week for 2 weeks. And there was a lot of work. And that's fine this summer when you're not in the middle of, you know, major teaching and other administrative duties. So what we decided to do, since it's during the semester, we are going to spread it out a little bit more. So that's why we're starting October 26th. And we've decided to do it, we're doing it twice a week now, Stephen? Yeah, so maybe you can explain how that's gonna go.
Right, so the Virtual Exchange Academy will run twice a week. I believe Tuesdays and Fridays. In the morning, we'll have synchronous sessions. The morning times were chosen because it kind of works best for international partners. It's really difficult sometimes to plan meetings when participants span across 8 to 13-hour time differences. So on those Tuesdays and Fridays, we'll have synchronous sessions in the morning where we'll get a chance to learn a little bit about some of the important aspects of virtual exchange, as well as have some time to discuss and kind of run through some of the designs that we've started going through. And then other activities between those days will there'll be assignments such as kind of some collaboration in the online space and message forums. And after each session, each partner will be given kind of a design task to do. So the point of spreading this out is that there's a lot of time. The components of the virtual exchange and the building of the virtual exchange are split and done small bits at a time, so that there's time for you and your partner to work on them. And it's not an overwhelming, like, you have to do all of this stuff for virtual exchange right now, but you build it piece by piece throughout the program. And at the end, you have that finished product.
Yeah, and so yeah, there's a lot of good acing time and time to kind of work with your partner, so we're not doing every day. Because we give you so much information, everyone thought that they had to read everything that was, before the next day. And when we want you to, but you don't have to necessarily. We put a lot out there as resources. The other thing is we normally have we really encourage this training to be with a faculty and their international partner, because that kind of bonding happens during that time. that you overcome a lot of these challenges, right? Like a lot of challenges you're going to see, like the communication challenges, the bandwidth challenges, the accents, like, you know, understanding one another, thinking they understood something you said, but they really didn't understand something you said. So speaking it, writing it, you know, we do tend to, you know, because, I mean, English does unfortunately tend to be the language of the common language. It makes it easy for our faculty, but we want to make sure they're always cognizant of the fact that their faculty partner may not have English as a first language. And so even that for faculty, that's a good lesson that goes to their students. But we did have some administrators join last time, and we really support that. So if you have a faculty that really wants to do it, or an administrator, and you're not ready with a partner, but you know you want to seize the moment, you have the funding, you want to seize the moment, you can have 2 from your campus do it. And I would really recommend a faculty and an administrator do it together, and so the administrator can see what it takes to do this and why it's important. But we are definitely open to that. So I didn't know if there was a question in the chat. Great. Any other questions that anybody want to express anything or share anything from their perspective?
Can I say something, please? Okay. As an administrator, I'm thinking of now at Prince Muhammad University, we establish a virtual exchange program, right? Now, once we have this program established, then we think of contacting the TIEC Virtual Academy for designing or agreeing on holding some virtual sessions for students, for faculty, and so on. Is this, you think, a good step to do?
So our academy is really to train the faculty, and the faculty will then set that up with their pair. So say it's someone in your College of Engineering, they would train with a faculty in a College of Engineering that they would be partnering with in the United States or in another country, wherever you want to do it, wherever your partner comes from. And then the faculty would come together. They would make those decisions themselves. So this is really about training faculty to know how to do this for themselves. We don't actually run the virtual exchange. So we can talk about that more, Dr.
No, sorry, I mean the virtual exchange program at our university will oversee the virtual exchange activities. But we contact the TIEC Virtual Exchange Academy for designing virtual exchange programs for our faculty, for our students, and so on. With that,
yeah, okay? You would identify faculty that are going to do the exchange, that the faculty that will teach it, and then those faculty will come to our academy and get the training on how to do that. But so it's a train the trainers kind of thing.
For the students, you can provide, the Virtual Exchange Academy of TIEC can provide for our students some virtual trainings, virtual lectures, whatever.
That is what your faculty will do it, because we'll train your faculty. We'll give models and modules for your faculty, so to do themselves. So they would be teaching this in their class that they have, and this would be a component of a class, a regular class that they're teaching, and this would become as a component. We can talk about something more expansive, but we can also talk offline, Dr. Youssef, to hear what you actually really want. But this is a faculty training program so that they turn around and do it themselves in their classrooms with their own students. I see a question from Dr. Mango about what is the feedback from students. So Audrey, I think you're a very good source on that.
Yeah, and overall, my students had a fantastic experience. My university is on the border of Mexico. We're located in El Paso, Texas. And my group of students are very familiar with a little bit of international exchange. Most of our students are of Mexican heritage. And with that being said, many of them have never, ever left El Paso. And it has never truly entered their minds that they can leave El Paso for a lot of them. So this was amazing with the feedback that I got, is that now many of them want to travel. They just really enjoyed the experience. And working with students in Egypt was something that they never ever thought was possible. So they were overwhelmingly excited that they had this opportunity. The one negative, which I don't know how much of a negative it is that they said scheduling was hard for them. Like that trying to collaborate during their clinical times and their school times was a challenge. So our way to help address that, because we did like a weekly feedback so that we were on top of this stuff. Like we really were interactive with our students, and we did really weekly reflections, and then said, if we can change something, what would you like to see? So we ended up incorporating some work time into our synchronous sessions that was scheduled for both sides. And that helped to resolve the trying to find time to collaborate. But with that also being said, is that we did our major work sessions during a major holiday in Egypt. So that was a big factor, is that the Egyptian students really could not get on to their work until almost 11 o'clock their time because of the holidays. So it all worked out fine. Like they got their projects, every single one of them helped with their presentations. So there's different ways, like when things come up, as long as you're doing some interaction with your students, that you can address it, fairly quickly. But long story short, the students really enjoyed the experience. And also, just one more thing, like the Parade of Kings was happening in Egypt. They did their big museum opening. So the students were live streaming this to our students, and our students really were just fascinated. Like that was just like kind of an extra thing. And it opened up, that history and that culture. And our students just truly, they still will text me and email me, and they're like, you know what, thank you so much for doing that exchange. We just really enjoyed it. So.
Yeah, and I think that that's such a big sort of testament to why are we doing this whole thing in the first place. And it does come down quite a bit to that intercultural side for students. And that's fine, because you're still they're still getting the group work, they're still getting the communication, they're still getting the kind of like, how do I deal with technology? But probably what they're the most fascinated by is the cultural part of it. And we do talk a lot about that in the academy. That intercultural communication and the cultural aspect is a big part of the academy, because that is like, that's the thing. You can do Zoom all day long. Who cares, But why do it with this other class and deal with the change in dates at the last minute and all these things that just make you want to pull your hair out. So, Dr. Gudlov?
Yeah, so I have a couple of questions. The first one is I don't know if you have announced it for this, but I'll just put it out there. For those of us looking at this with a view to seeking funds to support this, I need some way of determining what in the end this will be in terms of costs and the number of students that this effort can bring in, so that I can make a reasonable request. So it's kind of out of what you've presented, but I am looking at this as at the institutional level to bring in faculty. So I'm going to need some thoughts on that at some point, even if it's not now. So
Well, no, I mean, I think this is great. It's a great thing because we actually did this exercise when we did our training under the Stevens Initiative, is we brought it down to the per student cost, right? So really, at this point now, you have so much technology. You've already made the investment for your faculty, right? In cameras, in LMSs, in gosh, Audrey, you can even buy microphones. I don't know. Like the investment in technology has been there for your remote learning, right? And so your faculty already know now how to do things digitally, and probably have put all of their curriculum up digitally and their syllabus too. But I think you can measure, there's the cost of the training, which is a flat cost, right? But then it depends on the size of your students. So if you have a class of 30 or 40 students and they are doing this, you have reached, you have internationalized 40 students for the cost of a training, right? And then maybe you can you have some marginal costs on top of that. Audrey, I don't know if you want to talk about the costs that you expended. But I mean, once you take it and divide it by that number of students, your cost per head is extremely low.
Yeah, I had no additional costs, for me. As a faculty member, I did the training over the summer, which was, I forget how many sessions it was. But then after that, it was basically my time that I invested into working with my co-faculty in Egypt. And then, as I said, in the fall, we had over 400 students join us. And it was just amazing. Like most of them, I had 30 on my end that were required to join. All of the other students from Texas were optional. So they all wanted to do this. And then the Egyptian students, I think she had 50 that were required to do the program on her side. So for the cost of the training, which I think we were on a grant, so I don't even think it cost at that time.
Anything, just your time.
So we were able to involve over 400 students, for free. And we, in the spring, limited the sessions only because we were doing it based off of our courses and our course learning outcomes. So it was limited to the students in my course, but I had 120 students and Egypt had, I think, 50 that they involved. So I think we had maybe 170. And again, and then we had the University of Jordan come and join us towards the end. So we had all of those students, and there were no additional costs because we already had Zoom. We actually worked out all of our kinks in the fall. So it ran pretty smooth time-wise.
Yeah, so it really, like, you can break this down as an internationalization or a globalization strategy. If you had every college, pilot this in a couple classes, right? I mean, it would take your time as the SIO to kind of institutionalize this, spread this model, right? But then it would really build upon itself. We just did a training, we did a session with kind of like an info session with Texas A&M, their College of Agriculture and Life Sciences. They are making an investment at the college level to bring virtual exchange into the college, and they are scholarshiping people to take our academy. They decided at the college level, this is an approach for globalizing their students, and they're going to measure it and all that. So that the cost per head will be extremely low again, because you can hit every single one of your students is going to get this, as opposed to one in the entire college going on a study abroad, or 10 or whatever. So it makes a lot of sense. Now, on the international partner matching, we can do that. We do charge an extra fee because it's going to take our time to figure out the right match, because we want to bring you a good match. But yes, we can do that, absolutely. And we would just talk to you about what would make the most sense for you in terms of a partner. We have a lot of partners around the world. So yes, we've gone over time. Thank you so much. We've gone over time. You all know how to reach us. Let's see, is there an email you can reach out to? I don't know who to put. Maybe we can do Steven's
Yep,
email.
I put my email right here, and let me also just put this slide right back up for 1 second. I know we're on the way out, but there's other ways you can reach us as well over here, and also my email is going in the chat.
It's so easy,
Share
really,
this
at
as
TIEC,
well.
the person's first name at TIEC.org, and you're going to get them, or first and last, either way.
Right.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Really happy to see you, and we hope to see you in our academy. Thank you so much, and have a great day. And do not hesitate to reach out.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Did you stop recording, Anna?
Not yet.